before we get into our little yoga session, I just want to talk about like what's your why? So we're getting into the once you get through October and you get starting to get November, which I know we're just in the start of October, but the weather's going to start turning and you're going to start getting into, the holiday season, and then it's going to start getting super cold out. And that's when guys start to kind of run into issues in terms of getting their stuff done, staying on top of things, staying disciplined. Okay, the days start getting shorter, you start to have less time, and it gets cold out, and it feels like baseball is super far away, but baseball is really not that far away. I know we're in playoff baseball right now. I know guys are wrapping up fall ball, but it really does go pretty quick. So, um, I just wanted to talk about like finding your why, because well, let's just start kind of from the top here. So why is it important to know our why? Okay, so your why is kind of the deep personal reason behind your desire to play baseball and be great at pitching. Okay, so obviously all you guys are in here because you really love the game and you want to be good specifically on the mound, right? You wouldn't be in here if you didn't want to be better on the mound. And so um your why is like, why do you want to be good? Why do you play? Right. And having a clear why will help sustain you in times of pressure, setbacks, and help keep you focused on long-term development. Okay. And these are all things that are either going to happen this off season or they're going to happen in the season. And knowing why you play baseball, why you want to keep doing this stuff, why do you want to keep running and lifting and doing your mobility, right? Having being really clear about that will help sustain you throughout this off season. Okay, and there's a lot of common ones. Having just loving the game, love of competition. Some people, their why is just they really enjoy being around their teammates. They like working with others, and others have personal goals such as college scholarships. They want to play professionally, or they want to become some sort of best version of themselves. And I'll tell you, like, my why is almost all of these, and you'll probably go through different versions of these, kind of throughout your career. But I think it's really important that you're clear on why you're playing and why you want to get better this off season. So that way it will help just sustain you through any troubles or things you might come across. So just a little bit about me, and obviously I'm not playing anymore, but just the motivation or the things that motivated me when I was a player, just to A, for you guys to learn a little bit more about me, but B, just to kind of know like what my mindset was. Um, when I was in Little League, I really loved baseball. I was good at it. I was definitely was not the best player on my team. I was for sure not the best player on my team. But I knew that I loved baseball and I wanted to play as long as I could. Um, Actually, one of my kind of thinking about that, one of my best friends was the guy that was like the stud on our team. And he was, when we were little, everyone kind of said like, yeah, that guy is going to be the Division I baseball player on this team. And we were like, we weren't any special. We were like a double A team out of Beatrice, so we are a small town, nothing crazy. But um, our shortstop, he played shortstop, hit third. Everyone was like, "Yep, that guy's going to be really, really good someday." And no one ever really said that about me. And so, like, that was something that really kind of fired me up and lit a fire under me because I wanted that, right? Like, I wanted to be the best guy on my team. I wanted to be the guy that people looked at and were like, "Yeah, that kid's good, and he's going to go somewhere someday with it." And so, um, as I got older, as I got into high school, I really was like continuing to want that. So I would be frustrated when other people would get, picked over me, or when they would like, your coaches are like, "Oh, we'll take this guy up, and we're going to leave John down just because we think this guy's better." And so those things all kind of fueled me. And I think a lot of it was just like I wanted significance, like I wanted, people to notice me. Um, and like I wanted the recognition that came from, maybe playing in college or being an all-state player someday. Um, I don't know how if that was super healthy, if that's necessarily a good thing, if those were good whys, but those were definitely things that motivated me when I was like high school aged. Um, and honestly, it really helped. Like it helped me put in way more hours than everyone else. Like I would spend so much more time than everyone else lifting. I went and bought my own plyo balls and would throw them in my basement. And plyos weren't even really a thing back in 2011. I went to Shields and bought my own bands, like my own medicine balls, and I just would huck them against my basement concrete wall. And no one else was doing that. And a lot of it was like I was constantly thinking about A, how much I loved baseball, B, how much I how much I loved it, and then how I just like wanted to be good at it, and then C, like was fueled by all of those people that were like choosing other players over me constantly. And so that's that was really like what would help sustain me through a lot of workouts. And I really do think that that made me better. And I even told, the kid that everyone thought was going to be really good when I was young, like he was the best man. He was the best man at my wedding. So it's not like it was unhealthy or it's not like, it hurt our relationship. Like we're still best friends to this day. But, those types of things can definitely fuel you. Um, and after I got out of high school and I, you know, got my college scholarship, was all state, those things aren't really like the things that made me who I am today. Like I don't look back on that and be like, yeah, I did this or I did that. I mean, it was cool, but it wasn't like those aren't the things that I remember, if that makes sense. Um, but really it came down to as I got older was just like wanting to compete and wanting to be the best version of myself. And so, while I was in high school, I was chasing more significance. In college, it just turned into, okay, I want to play and I want to continue to get opportunities. And so, because once you get to college, everyone's the same at that level is really good, and you're just trying to fight for a spot. So I just wanted to compete and I wanted to have fun with my teammates, um, and I wanted to play just the best. I just wanted to be the best version of myself so I could help my team out, basically. Um, and now, like, what drives me now is like I've learned all of this stuff, in numbers one, two, and three both when I was little and then in high school and then in college, and now I'm just want to help you guys, honestly. And so that's really what drives me now. It's just, making an impact on young players that are trying to figure it out and navigate the same things that I did. But just when I would get into moments where I was maybe the motivation was low and I needed discipline, falling back on why I was doing this definitely sustained me through those moments. And so I want you guys to also think about, okay, what are the things that are going to drive me this off season or keep me going when things aren't always going well or when my motivation is low. Does that make sense? So, kind of some things to ask yourself. I know this is a lot of text and a lot of talking out of me, but um, what are kind of your own personal motivations for wanting to be good? Like, one of the questions I asked is like, why are you here? Like, in, why did you jump into 402 Pitching Academy? Right. And so some things I want you to write down. So you can take a screenshot of this if you want, but then I actually want you to sit down and answer these questions and put pen to paper, right? Because I've said this before, what's gray in your mind becomes black and white on paper. So I actually want you to take the time to reflect on this. Like, why do you love baseball? Or why are you playing baseball? Right? Maybe you don't love it, right? And that's fine. You don't have to love it. But, you know, why do you play? What moments in your life have made you want to be better at pitching? A lot of times, for me personally, the things that made me want to be better. I mean, I was always pretty decent at it. I was left-handed. That definitely helped. Um, but like I really enjoyed like painting a pitch on the outer half and walking off the mound, like chasing those kind of moments in the heat of competition are always fun. Um, moments when I struggled definitely made me want to be better at pitching. I went through an entire junior year where my ERA was like 17 because I couldn't find the strike zone. And so, things like that definitely fueled me to try and figure it out. Um, Letter C, like, who are you doing this for? Are you doing this for yourself, your family, a coach, a team? Um, I think it's really important that you make sure that your goals are your goals and not someone else's. One of the worst things that can happen to a kid, I think, is when they feel like they have to play college baseball or have to play baseball in general because of someone else and not because they want to. Um, so who are you doing this for? Are you doing this for yourself, your family, a coach, your team? And then how would your life be different without baseball? Without baseball for me, I mean, obviously I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be able to make the impact. I wouldn't, first of all, I wouldn't have the experiences that I got of playing. And so, learning how to fight through adversity, learning the mental game, because all that stuff applies to, what I'm doing now. Um, and then my ability to make an impact on young people. Obviously, I wouldn't have any of those things without baseball. So, you know, I think these questions are really good to ask yourself and then reflect on and then get clear on. And I've added this in there. I think everyone kind of pitches for a different reason. Um, and I think that this is something that I kind of relied on. So I pitched because I wanted to challenge myself every day and prove that hard work can overcome obstacles. Right. So we're really trying to get down to like that deeper underlying reason for why you're doing this, because that is going to be what sustains you. Any questions on any of this so far? Okay, and then how do we use this? And I'll go back and I'll throw this in the chat so you guys have it. Um, because obviously like some of these are kind of deep and you're probably not going to answer them all right now or be able to answer them right now because you're going to want some time to really reflect on it. But how do we use this? So, when I guess let's remember what it takes to be great. So what it takes to be great is intention, consistency, and then just a focus on long-term growth and development, right? So are you intentional with what you're doing every day? Are you doing the drills that we prescribe you, or are you really like intentional about doing the drills that we prescribe you? So, if I'm giving you, a series of step backs, do you know why we're doing those? And then do you know what you're trying to focus on when you're doing them? So that's what I mean when I'm saying intentional, right? It's not just like going through the motions. It's doing the thing, being focused, knowing what you're trying to accomplish. And then if you can do that consistently over a long period of time, that's when you start to get better, right? And that's what truly makes people great. So, but it's not always easy to do this. It's easy for me to sit here, on October 6th and say, yeah, this is what it takes. But it's another thing when the rubber meets the road and you actually have to do it. And so there's going to be days this off season, and you probably have already experienced it, where you're like, man, it would be pretty easy for me to skip my mobility today, right? It'd be pretty easy for me to not log my calories today. And so, you know, when you experience those thoughts, which it's normal for everyone, it's normal for me, it's normal for professionals, then you have to think back to, okay, why am I doing this? Why am I here? Why did I invest all this time and money into my career, right? For me to not take it seriously. And if you think back to your why and who you're doing this for and what you're doing it for, then that will help you kind of get through that and find the discipline that you need, in order to be intentionally consistent. And then whatever your why is, just post it somewhere where you can see it. So we talk about this with our goals, and we'll readdress our goals, um, again here soon. But whether that's on your phone lock screen, sticky note in your bathroom or your dashboard, okay, just post it where you can see it. That way, it's constantly reminding you of like, okay, here's why I'm doing this. Because again, it's gonna get cold here pretty soon, and you're gonna be thrown into a net where no one can see you, right? And you're like, why am I doing this? And then you got to remember, here's why I'm doing it. Okay, and then understand discipline is greater than motivation. You're not going to be motivated every day. Okay, I don't care who you are. You're not going to be motivated every day, but you can be disciplined every day. And that is what will help you be intentional and consistent over a long period of time. Okay. So like for example, like when it comes to my why, like a lot of the things that I do now, right? It's got to do with these two people. Okay. My wife and my daughter, right? So they're a huge part of my why. And they're the people that I'm trying to build for. I mean, you guys are part of my why. Like I'm trying to help you guys become the best version that you can be. Right. And so I'm constantly like sometimes it keeps me up at night trying to figure out like, okay, am I giving these guys the value and everything that they need to be successful? Right. And so um yeah, I'm always trying to reflect on that and make sure that I'm intentionally consistent in everything that I do. Any questions on that? So what I want you to do is I want you to answer these 4 questions. Okay, and I want you to write down somewhere where you can see it. Um, if you want, I think it'd be pretty cool if you like posted it in the chat, right? Just so like, and if you don't, send it to me, um, just to kind of make it a little bit more public, right? So that way people like we can kind of hold each other accountable, but you can also just it's another just opportunity for people to see things, learn about you, but also for you to, when you share this stuff, it's like it makes it more real, if that makes sense. And so, um, at any event, I want you to write it down and at least share it with me and just send it to me. And that way, A, I get to know you guys a little bit better. And B, it can be something that maybe I can use to help motivate you if you need it as well. So that's your homework for the either for tonight or for the week, right? Is to answer these and post them. Can we do that? Okay. And like I said, I'll throw those in the chat so you guys can see them. So just some housekeeping things. Okay. So I'll be up in La Vista this week, tomorrow night actually, 5:30 to 9. The calendar link closes like by 5 o'clock on Sunday. So in the future, make sure that you're like signing up before then. And then obviously next week I'll be back in the Lincoln area. Make sure you guys are staying consistent with logging your nutrition in your workouts. Okay, it's super easy from if you log your nutrition, it's super easy for me to adjust your calories and know if you're putting on weight like you should be. So make sure you guys are doing that. Most of you guys are doing a great job of that. But again, consistency and intention and being intentional is what's going to be the key to your success, right? So if you can log for me, that makes my life a lot easier. And then I also know that you're getting your work in. Wednesday night, remember you can go to Vignes if you're in the Omaha area. Even if you're not in the Omaha area, you can always go there. I won't ever be there on Wednesday nights, but Braden obviously will be there and he can take good care of you. He's going to start jumping in on these Sunday night calls here too, I think, in the next couple of weeks. He was tied up tonight, but he's another great resource for you guys, especially if you can't get in on Monday night. He's a great resource for you guys. And I mean, he's had a couple strikeouts against Iowa this week. That was 92 to 94. So he throws harder than I did. So he can definitely help you. Um, and then the last one, so number 4, this one's pretty important. So for you guys that have been in for a while, that mobility slash arm care, so like your daily general mobility is like an eight week program. And so if that ever stops, like it's scheduled for Monday through Friday, but if you've been in for a while and all of a sudden you realize that the general mobility is not on there anymore, just send me a message and I'll re-update that for you. So it only is set for the first 8 weeks, and then eventually your 8 weeks will be up, and then I'll have to give you a new one. But I don't get notified when that mobility program ends. So just make sure that you tell me so that way I can give you a new one. Does that make sense? There's a couple guys that are probably close, like Cam, you're probably close. Owen, you might be getting close. So just let me know when that runs out. Charlie, you're definitely probably getting close. Okay, any questions for me, fellas? Everything we talk about makes sense.